Hello. Welcome to this general election candidate forum live streamed to YouTube and co-sponsored by the Daily Record newspaper and the League of Women Voters. My name is Charlie Sorensen, and I am the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters, Kittitas County. Founded in 1920, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization with 800 affiliates across the country. It encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League never endorses or opposes candidates or political parties at any level. We don't care how you vote, only that you vote. League membership is open to all genders, ages 16 and over, and we invite you all to join us. Our moderator for this candidate virtual forum event is Catherine Murphy. Catherine has been a member of the League since 2017, where she has filled a variety of roles at the state and local level. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Charlie. I am very pleased to moderate our candidate forums for the 2020 general election. These events offer voters the opportunity to hear candidates directly respond to community questions. The League of Women Voters records and retains a full unedited copy of all candidate forums. If any portion of a League forum is redistributed out of context to make a candidate appear to say something they did not say, or edited to make a candidate look bad, or in any way they did not actually look in the original forum, then the League of Women Voters will alert the media, provide the unedited video for comparison, and file appropriate complaints with any applicable governing agency. As we begin, I want to note that our ballot should arrive by October 16th. Please call the auditor's office if you don't receive yours by then. You still have time to register or change your address. You can do so online until October 26th and in person at the auditor's office through 8 p.m. on Tuesday, November 3rd. Your ballot must be postmarked on or before November 3rd. There are 9 ballot drop boxes throughout Kittitas County. In addition to this live stream event, the recording will be on the Kittitas County League YouTube channel. We thank the following media partners for also sharing these forums: the Ellensburg Daily Record newspaper, Ellensburg Community Television, Spectrum Channel 191, and Inland Networks. We've discussed the ground rules for this forum with the candidates prior to today's event. My job is to keep us on time and on task, which means that if a candidate goes past their time, I will move us along. The candidates have an opportunity to make a 60-second opening statement. Then we will ask 5 prepared questions that we sourced from the community. We provided these questions to the candidates 2 hours ago, and they will have 60 seconds to respond to each question. Then we will move to 3 live stream audience questions. The candidates will have 90 seconds to respond to each of these questions. The forum will conclude with a 60-second closing statement by each candidate. If you're viewing this live, you can submit a question by texting to 509-654-9030. The questions must be for both candidates. League members will review the questions. We may combine or edit them for clarity, nonpartisanship, and time limitations. The Kittitas County Commissioners serve a 4-year term and are empowered to set county policy, adopt laws, implement them, and, except for the responsibility of other elected officials, carry out the day-to-day operations of the county. I am very happy to welcome Cory Wright and Kristin Ashley to this forum. Thank you both for taking the time to be with us, and thank you for your willingness to serve our community as Kittitas County Commissioner in District 1. As we discussed earlier, I will alternate who answers the questions first. And we're going to begin with Cory Wright. You have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Thank you. And thank you to the League of Women Voters and the Daily Record for this opportunity to discuss the issues most pressing to Kittitas County. 2 years ago, I was appointed as your District 1 Commissioner. Last year, the voters overwhelmingly chose to have me fulfill this term. This year, I am asking for your vote again to allow me to continue my work through a full 4 years. Although I am proud of what has been achieved, much remains to be accomplished, and I look forward to completing what I have set out to do. Though it could have never been predicted in any strategic forecast, COVID-19 has become the primary focus of governments across this nation. Kittitas County has not escaped this. Through initial response and now on to mitigation and recovery, your county government will need to be at the top of its game to help us navigate the road back to normalcy. My experience, not only as your commissioner, but also through 20 years of managing crisis situations in private business, puts me as your best choice to keep our county moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Ashley, you now have 60 seconds for your opening statement.
Excellent. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, and thank you to the Daily Record for being able to educate our voters. I'm Kristin Ashley. I am asking for you to vote and vote for me as County Commissioner for District 1 for Kittitas County. I believe that my military experience as a combat medic and my education has given me the skills that are necessary to be able to increase higher wage paying jobs in our community, which is desperately needed, to have locals managing our public lands, which will be about 80% of our county in the future, and also to help farmers and ranchers to have more lucrative careers. I look forward to making this my home for the rest of my life, and so I am totally invested in strategizing and putting us in a position where we can have the best future for all of us. I look forward to working collaboratively with all of our county departments, and I thank you for your time, and I look forward to answering questions.
Thank you. The first question, do you support the 0.1% sales tax proposal to provide mental health services for Kittitas County residents? Why or why not? Ms. Ashley, you have 60 seconds to respond.
So I've been very clear about this on my Facebook page, and yes, I completely support the 0.1% mental health sales tax. I have reached out to mental health professionals, emergency medical services, our police departments within the county. I know that 1 in 4 of our 10th graders currently have had or will have a suicide plan, and so this is crucial for our community. We need to strengthen our families so that they have good positive ripple effects throughout our community, and we need to prevent recidivism. We need to continue our progress in supporting our community for a positive future. I believe that this supports our police and it makes their jobs more safe, and if they would be more effective if they also have the mental health services that this would provide. I do think that we need a quantitative plan in order to see the effectiveness, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, you have 60 seconds.
Yes, I also agree that the mental health tax would be a benefit to not only the families of Kittitas County, but also to our recidivism, as Ms. Ashley said. It's a difficult word for me as well, honestly. It's a much needed step forward. There are a couple issues though with it right now that I do need to have some better understanding around for full support of it. Any taxes collected must be held to an approved plan, which is why for this sales tax to move forward, I believe that it would need a citizens oversight committee similar to our homelessness and affordable housing committee, which I chair, and also a sunset clause of 5 years. We need to be able to tell the voters that this will not be a permanent tax, and after 5 years, they should have the opportunity to say whether this is something that will continue in perpetuity. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 2. Kittitas County is one of the fastest growing counties in the state. What challenges does this trend present for the county? And how would you propose to deal with those challenges? Mr. Wright, you go first and you have 60 seconds.
Well, COVID-19 has put the growth into the crosshairs even higher than it was. Many companies have said that their employees can work at home for some indefinitely, some for the next few years, which means that many will want to live where they play. We've got to get on the planning end of it now, especially around infrastructure and growth on our transportation system. The road network is projected to be the road fund is projected to be in the red within 3 years if we don't take steps now to ensure that the road fund continues to be strengthened adequately as this growth continues. So for the next decade, I plan on seeing how we can continue to get our infrastructure moving forward as best we can.
Thank you. Ms. Ashley, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. I believe that the greatest challenge for us going ahead would be keeping our culture alive and the rural culture that we have in being neighbors. We have 6,000 to 10,000 developments that have been already permitted, and those are just going to start getting built. And we need to make sure that our locals can afford those houses going in direct competition with people from the west side that will be trying to move over here. And so what we need to do is we need to provide higher wage paying jobs within our community. We need to make sure that our ranchers and our farmers are being supported so that we can keep that culture alive. We need to make sure that we know how to strategize and what we want to our future to look like and how we want to invite the people that are going to be moving into our community. How do we invite them to be our neighbors? How do we include them into becoming part of the fabric of who we currently are without losing who we are? And making sure that our public lands are managed first for our locals, and then we can look at recreation.
Thank you. Thank you. Question 3. How should the county commissioners support the county health department's recommendations on keeping the community safe from COVID-19? Ms. Ashley, you have 60 seconds to respond.
Thank you. I definitely look forward to working with the health department. I do think that a mental health professional should be included in the department conversation. I want to make sure that our community is also looking at what is sustainable? What is our plan going forward? We need to not just have rules and restrictions, but we actually need to have a good set plan in order to live as fully as we possibly can going forward, while also protecting our vulnerable populations. How do we make sure that people aren't too isolated, that they aren't too I support protecting our vulnerable populations completely. We just need to make sure that we have a plan going forward into the future as well. I think that I would love to talk to Dr. Larson more in person and come up with plans. And I am completely for being precautious or having precautions, excuse me.
Good. Thank you. Mr. Wright, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Well, for the last 6 months, we've been under a state of emergency. And honestly, I think it's time to evaluate whether we are exactly in a state of emergency or not. This is going to be a long-term stage of really just preparedness. And I think it's important to evaluate that. You know, fighting something like COVID can bring lenses very narrow as far as perspectives on how to fight it. And we need to make sure as commissioners that we are continuing to keep perspectives wide, look at not only our most vulnerable folks, but also those who are highly affected. Right now, our parents and students are very affected by that, which is why I am working to use our CARES money to help our school districts get back to school as soon as possible and not put those long-term costs on our taxpayers moving forward.
Thank you. Question 4, job growth is often stated as a major need in Kittitas County. What would you do to attract living wage jobs or encourage entrepreneurship in our community? Mr. Wright, you have 60 seconds.
Well, right now, this is a golden opportunity for job growth within our county. The Seattle area is looking to, or the Seattle area right now is under a lot of economic stress, not only with the effects of COVID, but also some of the civil unrest, and companies are looking to move. Company recruitment is really at the top of the list for me. We don't right now have a strong recruiting program, and our rural districts sales tax fund, also known as the .09 fund, is a great opportunity to fund the kind of business development program that needs to not only identify what employers are looking for when they do move, but also identify what kind of policy changes we should be making. So right now, it's all about job recruitment.
Thank you. Ms. Ashley, you have 60 seconds.
Well, thank you. I look forward to working with people at the airport for bringing people into the business park up there. I look forward to trying to figure out a way to incorporate glass recycling into a new industry in our community. Those 6,000 to 10,000 developments that are going in, those are all houses that need furnishings and they need trim. And so if we come up with a way to have a small diameter lumber mill that can produce premium roslyn pine for the trim in those buildings, that would be a great industry to start in our community. I'm willing to cold call as many people as I can in order to bring people into our community. I want something at the Kittitas exit that is willing to invest in the infrastructure. And we are thinking about possibly increasing education of our community members, seeing what our community is looking for and where we spend our money outside of the community, and then bringing those industries within our county. That's what I look forward to doing.
Thank you. Question 5, the county has a shortage of affordable housing. What measures do you recommend the county enact to address this shortage? Ms. Ashley, you start this round and you have 60 seconds.
Thank you very much. I would love to work with Hope Source and Habitat for Humanity to find adequate plots of land within our county that we can start developing for affordable housing. Habitat for Humanity has a great track record, and those houses will be affordable housing for the next 99 years, even if Habitat for Humanity goes out of business. We could make the footprint pretty small and then make sure that our families can afford their first houses in this community. And I would like them to be in the middle of places that are a little bit more expensive in our county. And so I also want to work with the Planning Commission and see where growth should be in our county and focus in on that, as well as bringing business to those areas. How can we support those communities? How can we make sure that nobody lives in a food desert? How can we make sure that everybody has transportation to work and has high living wage paid jobs? And so I'm going to work on that.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, you have 60 seconds.
Thank you. Well, right now the market is simply going through the roof. I just, in my discussions with builders, the price of lumber has gone up 30% in the last 6 months. So this is a difficult time to really forecast how we can really do the next even 2 years, let alone 5 to 10 years. But for the long term, looking at a 30,000 foot level, I think it's all about job recruitment and about opening up our county policies to use that little piece of really buildable land that we have, which is only about 90% of our county area, and encouraging as many different opportunities for building in that area, working to minimize our floodplain. We have a lot of affected land that is subject to the Wildland Urban Interface Code. So those areas are going to be expensive no matter what. But for those last remaining areas, we need to work with our builders and realtors to figure out what the market will bear and how to best make that happen.
Great, thank you. We have been collecting questions from our YouTube audience, and I want to remind you that we only have time for 3 questions. Our volunteers may have combined or reworded the questions to maintain nonpartisanship or for clarity. If we don't get to your question, remember, you can always reach out to the candidates via email and ask them directly. So here's our first question. Do you support hiring a county manager to separate the legislative and administrative functions of the commissioner's office? And Mr. Wright, you start and you have 90 seconds to respond.
Absolutely, I do. I've spent 20 years in private business, and I've come to realize that working within your lane, whether you're a company or a person, you need to really stick to what is best and what your strengths are. And I believe hiring a professional administrator will be a budgetary strain, but that's something that we do need to take on. I like to say that as commissioners, we're a three-headed boss, a three-headed monster, and it's difficult for employees to really understand sometimes the intent and tenor of 3 different folks. That's just the nature at work. It's hard to determine a single voice at times. And I think for the sake of consistency, we do need to have a single voice that not only knows how to manage down to our directors and staff, but also manage up and manage 3 different folks to really divine what their intent is and then make that happen. It also brings expertise in terms of quality control, of building quality systems and developing procedures and practices which will help to deliver better customer service on the back end. Many folks at times just aren't quite sure what the county's doing. I want to have someone who is going to be that stopgap and be able to ensure that we have a consistent product.
Thank you. The question again is, do you support hiring a county manager to separate the legislative and administrative functions of the commissioner's office? Ms. Ashley, you have 90 seconds.
Thank you. I do. I have talked about this quite extensively with many different mentors and advisors throughout the county. And what I have been told is if there were 5 county commissioners, that it would be even more beneficial. And we don't have quite the population for to advocate for 5 county commissioners yet. That being said, communication with the public is absolutely essential. It would be helpful to have understanding of opportunities and the possibilities that every decision could have for all of the county commissioners so that we could make a better decision as far as being educated, having all that information, and then having consistency. Yeah, if your term is only 4 years and there's turnover with county commissioners, then you could have a lack of experience representing the entire county. And that would be unfortunate for our residents. And so I do think that no matter what, the goal is for Cory and I to best support the community members. And so if that means having a county manager, 100% that is the decision that should be made. That being said, it is expensive. It would make sure county commissioners would probably only be part-time, according to a lot of the education that I've heard. And so it is a decision that we should discuss more thoroughly with the community and decide that as a county.
Thank you. Okay, the second question is, most acres of the Evans Canyon fire were shrub steppe, a rapidly disappearing ecosystem home to many sagebrush dependent species. What will you do to protect and raise awareness of this valuable resource of shrub steppe? And we begin this round with Ms. Ashley. You have 90 seconds.
Well, the sagebrush shrub steppe has a very dear place in my heart. Even working at the wind farm, I had a sagebrush shrub steppe celebration every year that I would throw, just to bring awareness to, yeah, just because you don't see the animals in the sagebrush shrub steppe doesn't mean that they're not hiding out and you can't see sign of them, and they are just a little bit more shy. So I would love for us all to work together as a community, raise funds. And there was this wonderful thing in Tri-Cities where 4th graders would grow a sagebrush plug and then they'd go plant it in the sagebrush shrub steppe. And if we did that and took pictures with GPS coordinates, can you imagine how invested our 5th graders or 4th graders would be in going back and seeing their little sagebrush growing? And also sagebrush plugs have about 80% rate of success, whereas if you just spread seeds, 5% is a good success rate. So I 100% am for our community going out and just seeing the beauty of it and investing in planting sagebrush. And I am tied in with Keen and then another couple of organizations that are desperately looking to fundraise for restoring that sagebrush shrub steppe. I would love to look into research and look at how it develops over the years and kind of do it as a celebration for our community. It's a very essential part of what makes Kittitas County.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, I'm going to read it again. Most acres of the Evans Canyon fire were shrub steppe, a rapidly disappearing ecosystem home to many sagebrush dependent species. What will you do to protect and raise awareness of this valuable resource of shrub steppe? You have 90 seconds.
Thank you. Well, this is actually something that I'm working on now as part of the Yakima Basin Integrated Plan. For those that don't know, the Integrated Plan is a full spectrum effort from the irrigators, the recreationalists, the Yakama Nation and environmental groups to help preserve the waters of the Yakama River basin for not only ag, but also for fisheries and for those folks who want to play in those areas. And part of that is protection of different habitat throughout the Yakama Basin. One of those happens to be shrub steppe. And we do have a 15,000 acre target right now around an acquisition just south of the canyon, or excuse me, on the east side of the canyon, south of Ellensburg. And the purpose of that is to not only develop a new reservoir, which would help to preserve a $1 billion plus industry in the Yakama Valley, but also to preserve the shrub steppe, which has been a known disappearing part of this state for many years. And it's because of programs like the Yakama Basin or the integrated plan that Kittitas County is actually pretty well ahead of the curve right now for trying to make sure that what could be rapidly disappearing landscapes are going to be taken care of for generations to come.
Good, thank you. So the last question that we have today is about wildfires. Wildfires seem to be in our future. What measures should the county take to minimize catastrophic wildfire? And Mr. Wright, we start with you and you have 90 seconds.
Okay, thank you. I hate to beat a dead horse, but I go back to the integrated plan because this is such a broad-reaching program. The Watershed Lands Committee, of which I am a part, is just now starting to take on the role of wildfire and how it affects our water storage. And water is life, as everyone knows, and so many factors play into that. Now, with wildfire, there are many ways to manage that. We want to reach out and start with how we can have better interagency contacts, especially with the Forest Service. They are the majority landowner of our forested lands, and a lot of times they frankly have a staffing issue. Their ability to process the NEPA forms and permits moving forward, NEPA is National Environmental Policy Act, is a lot of times kind of a logjam for moving these lands into the ability to be harvested and managed successfully. So we are starting with an interagency discussion on how we can manage these lands. It's not just the county, but the fortunate thing is that within the integrated plan, it speaks for so many folks, but Kittitas County plays a major part of that. So we will continue to press forward with those efforts.
Thank you. Ms. Ashley, I'm going to read the question again. Wildfires seem to be in our future. What measures should the county take to minimize catastrophic wildfires? And you have 90 seconds, sorry.
Excellent. No, you're excellent. So I have been attending meetings with the Adaptive Fire Management, Kittitas County Fire Adaptive Management Committee, and it is awesome. I would like to work with the Nature Conservancy more for creating fire breaks and thinning our forests. If we have a small diameter lumber mill, we'll be able to keep those trees within our community and then keep the profit within our community, which would be excellent. I would like to look further into if grazing management on our public lands would trample down some of that ladder fuel and keep the fires out of the treetops. And if that's an actual feasible thing, according to firefighters, I would like to work with the fire departments to see how we could work on that. I would like to increase advocacy for volunteering at the fire departments locally. If we have young kids that are all getting their red cards so we can step onto fire lines if something threatens our personal communities. I think that all of us can participate, all of us can be active in making sure that we're all fire wise and we are all fire adapted for the future. I think that if we make sure that we are being responsible and that we are watching out for each other and making sure that people are adhering to our fire bans when they happen, supporting our sheriff's office and all of our land managers in managing those times and keeping up on our tourists that come into this community. I think that all of us can participate.
Thank you. It's now time for closing statements. And Ms. Ashley, you have 60 seconds.
So thank you very much for your time. I am a proud and grateful community member of this county. I grew up here. I was raised here. I plan on building a family here and living here for the rest of my life. I am completely invested in setting us up for the most positive future that we can possibly have. I am at the farmers market every Saturday. So if anybody ever wants to come and chat with me or tell me what your perspective is of the future, an elected official's primary job is to serve all of the community members that are within this county if you're a county commissioner. And so I cannot do my job if I get elected if I do not have the community's input. And I plan on communicating effectively. I think disagreements are excellent. They're a good place to start and create the most beneficial plan for all of us. I don't think that disagreements are something that we should fear. Have a great day.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, you have 60 seconds to make your closing statement.
Thank you. I want to again thank the League of Women Voters and Daily Record for this opportunity to discuss the priority issues facing our county. I also want to thank those of you taking the time to view this forum to better educate yourself on the choices before you. This has been an election year unlike any other. Your direct access to candidates has been limited, yet the decision facing our citizens is one of utmost importance. I appreciate that the viewers here are using the platforms available to make the most informed choice. COVID-19 has changed life temporarily, but it hasn't whipped us. Now is the time for experienced guidance that is only built by having lived through making tough business decisions that affect the bottom line. I know that I am the right person to navigate this ship through the storm because I've done it before. I've said this previously, but it bears repeating. Please work to continue keeping our community unified. This will be remembered as an incredibly difficult year, but it can also be looked back on as our finest hour. Kittitas County is our home, and we count every one of us, whether we agree politically or not, as neighbors. Please vote for me on November 3rd. Thanks.
I would like to thank Cory Wright and Kristin Ashley for sharing their views and their willingness to serve as Kittitas County Commissioner in District 1. We want to thank our co-sponsor, the Ellensburg Daily Record newspaper, and the Ellensburg Community Television, Spectrum Network, and Inland Networks for showing the forum videos throughout the voting season. Finally, thank you to the many League volunteers who make these events possible. To get more information about all candidates running in the 2020 general election, the Kittitas County League has created a nonpartisan online voters guide where you will find links to candidate websites and other helpful resources. You can also get information at vote411.org and at the Washington State Secretary of State's office. Your vote matters. Join me by casting your ballot in the November 3rd general election. Thank you.